We have a good, the bad, the ugly scheduled here for a moment. We're talking about books, weddings, houses, bee pollen, and Dancing with the Stars. This Dancing with the Stars story is pretty fascinating. Remember, Tom Bergeron was fired out of nowhere as the host, and your wife said it went downhill after that, right?
Yeah, after Bergeron left, I don't watch it, but my wife does with her mother, and they text live back and forth. So they have to watch it live. They never watch delay,
right?
And I think Bergeron was replaced by, I want to say, Tyra Banks.
Yeah.
And then they did not like Tyra. She just, and then it went to streaming, and now it's back, and Banks is gone, and it's Julianne Hough and the guy from Fresh Prince
Ribeiro.
Alfonso
Ribeiro.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting story that now Bergeron is. Now, I'll say this. He told it on a podcast. So,
oh boy,
you know what you always say.
You should open with that. That's just puffery and nonsense.
It may be puffery and nonsense. We'll see. But before all of that, out of nowhere, a moment ago, Biggie says, there's a guy on the phone. He's got some sort of Halloween sex thing. And I was like, all right, I'm interested in this.
Those are two things I like.
Okay, Halloween. Sure. Some sort of Halloween sex story, something like that.
Well, I wasn't sure. I never know with you. And I love our P1s.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people call and go, I have the world's best story.
Yep.
And it isn't. So you're careful. You're worried.
Of course. Well, I saw that, you had him on hold. He's been back and forth. And first like, I don't know. And now he's on the phone. So Biggie has given the go ahead.
Yes.
He said, go ahead.
And if I may too, not to get too inside our business, but Kelly and I have been lucky enough to do this job for close to 25 years now.
That's right.
And we have people all around the country used to listen to the show.
That's right.
Consultants, important people in the business.
They gave up.
Not anymore.
Not anymore,
of course.
But they have said consistently that the people who call your program are amazing. And
the best.
Yeah. That's not anything we can control.
No. And their
stories are insanely great.
Yeah. Some have passed away.
I know.
Who told great
But they're part of the fabric of the program.
That's right. And then others have risen up after those have passed away.
Exactly.
So let's see. Now we have an anonymous caller, and Biggie said, "Look, it's about Halloween and sex." So
don't put him directly on the air.
Right.
Just in case.
Just test it.
All right, let's test it out a little. All right, what do we have here?
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
So 2 years ago, my buddy got home from work, and there was a note on the back door, from his old lady, saying, "Go to the tree in the backyard." So he goes to the tree in the backyard. And there's a note there saying, put on the mask and grab the knife. And it was a Jason mask, So, and in the note said, put on the mask and grab the knife and try and kill me. He said, next thing I know, he said, I see somebody running by me in the yard with a screen mask on and nothing else. And it was my wife. And he said, so I had to run after her. And he said, I was stabbing her. I caught her. I was stabbing her with the knife. And he said, we had the world's best sex ever in my entire life. In the middle of the yard.
I'm titillated. I'm turgid. This is the best Halloween story I've ever heard in my life.
He said it was crazy. He said it was phenomenal.
I'm sure it was.
Do you have those supplies at your house right now, Kelly?
Well, let's see. I have a Jason mask. I have a fake machete. I'm assuming surely the knife was some sort of fake knife. It wasn't real.
Yes. It was a rubber knife.
I've got one. Yeah. I've got a machete. I got a Michael Myers. I got a Jason. I got
a nice big yard.
I got a great...
You got a big yard.
That's all you need. Yeah. That's all you need.
Yeah.
This story...
And he said, he didn't catch her at first. He said he let her run a little bit just to, he said he could have caught her right off the bat. Then she went around a couple trees, and then he finally tackled her, and then he was stabbing her. And he said, and guess what? He said she never took off her mask, and I never took off my mask.
Now, yeah. This is fantastic.
He said, I never took off my mask. She never took off her mask, and it was freaking crazy, he said.
Is that the best story you ever heard in your life or what? Do you hear that, Dave?
Well, it's puffery. You know how morning radio can be.
Listen to this. What? Now, I do think that when he was chasing her around, he probably had to stop and catch his breath. Put hands on knees.
Hang on.
Yeah, as you get older.
Oh, give me a
I
minute
did not
here.
know there was cardio.
I didn't know I was going to have to work this hard at it. Wow. But I'll tell you what. If my wife would put on a scream mask and let me put on my hockey mask and the two of us just, go at it in the yard, wouldn't that be?
You'd get shot.
Wouldn't that be something?
Well, this is there's no easy way to ask the question, but we're all adults here, so I will I'll just be direct.
Yeah.
Would you recognize your significant other if she was wearing a mask and nothing else?
Ooh.
Oh, I think so. Oh, although I haven't seen her in the nude in a long time.
Because you've always said she's, turned off all the lights off
right.
the TV.
That's right.
Dim all the lights,
Yeah.
sweet darling.
She always says, avert your gaze, avert your gaze. And so all the lights have to go out. And I have to close my eyes.
Yeah.
For all you know, you could have been having sex with one of those human sex dolls for
possible.
years and not even know. She could have easily just, she could slide that into bed and her just go to sleep.
Do you remember any distinguishing marks?
No. No, I do not remember
Then
any.
you'll never know who you're with.
No, you're right.
Would you recognize her walking and or running gait?
I haven't seen her run in ever.
She didn't run at the wedding.
No? No, she didn't.
No, I don't know. Her walking gait, yes, I have seen her walk, of course, but I haven't seen her run. I don't believe ever. So, no, if she ran away, and by the way, the two of us out there running around, the old magnolia trees and so forth.
Wearing nothing but masks.
I don't know.
The magnolias would die.
I know. Plus, lately we're on edge because of that mailbox robbery, so we're getting a little neighborhood watch thing going on. I think.
Yeah, they're going to come popping.
I think.
They hear you two slapping around out there in the grass.
Running around with masks and what look like knives.
A knife, a fake knife.
You'd be shot.
Yeah.
That's enough right there.
You're right.
And cops will pull up and not even hesitate.
I know. Plus, I got Redneck Randy living four houses down. He'd probably come around the corner and do something.
Is he the goose eradicator?
Yes. Well, Gerald's the goose eradicator, but Redneck Randy is the one that I guess somebody hit a deer, so he cut it open and laid it in his front yard to scare the rest of them away.
Did deer work like that?
Well, he said they did. He just told me that now. I shouldn't have said Gerald, but someone in the neighborhood, I said, well, there's no geese around here. I see geese in a lot of neighborhoods. There's a little pond in the neighborhood. And he goes, yeah, there's a reason for that. And
Polishing a pistol.
apparently he's the one that took care of that issue. And Redneck Randy said, well, there wouldn't be no deer if it was up to me. But he's like 20 years ago, somebody hit a deer and it was laying in front of my house. And I just drug it into the yard and cut it open and put its antlers up, and stuck it there, so because all the other deer will go away
Like
then.
voodoo.
And I just assumed he was right. Yeah, that's Redneck Randy. Now he said he knew, but that's
How can you say?
that's news to me. This is the best. I'm the most titillated now. Spooktacular is off to a great start. It's not even Spooktacular yet.
No, not officially.
No, but that's
close enough.
That's the kind of start you're looking for.
That's the kickoff to it, isn't it? That's it right there. Woo!
Save that for the big day.
Rerun it again on Spooktacular.
Why not?
Biggie, remind me. Let's re-air it again.
Okay.
On Spooktacular to make it great.
Now, of course, if this was some creepy movie, when you remove the masks, it's somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Because remember, they never removed their masks.
A demon.
But he said he knew it was his wife wearing the mask and no clothes.
That's the wife. I don't know if it was out of character for her. I've heard of somebody told me once that their wife did for them like a scavenger hunt, like go to this room, and it was like a clue as to where she was. And when he finally found her, she was naked.
That's too much work.
I agree.
I'd give up after Clue 2 and just watch TV.
She's just tracking you on your Life 360.
Right, then you
Find my phone.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
yeah.
He's in the den.
Yeah, you gotta
I've
go.
never liked those elaborate scavenger hunts. Just tell me what it is or where it is.
I think it's titillating though. I think it gets you going before you even get there.
Yeah.
It's like
Especially if you gather up little things along the way.
Yeah.
Like a Hershey bar.
right. Get a little Hershey bar and some
A Diet Coke.
Rose
French
petals,
tickler?
French tickler.
I really don't think we should put this Hershey bar in your hoo-ha. It's really not made for that.
I'm telling
Was
you.
I supposed to eat the Hershey bar before I got there?
I smeared it on my
Because it's gone.
But I wouldn't want to eat.
You're supposed to make me into a s'more.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be. The good, the bad, the ugly here today. There's as you know, this is a great story. This is the good story. Of course, Brittney Spears has her new book out, a tell-all, a bombshell book.
Has your wife expressed interest?
She has. We've talked about it, and I talked about it.
Because she's a reader, your wife.
Yeah, she is. She'll read 4 books in a week sometimes, you know.
She's voracious.
Many times, though, I'll say to her, and she'll say, "That's the best book I've read in a long time." And I'll say, "Should I read it?" And she'll say, "Oh, no.
No, but
Not for
Brittany's
A little bit of
for you.
Brittany, I can do, yeah. Well, Michelle Williams, the actress, she's won an Academy Award, I believe. Hasn't she? Definitely.
At least one,
yeah.
right?
You're nominated at least.
She is the reader for the audiobook version of Brittney Spears' new book, which I did not
They did
know.
not get Brittany to read.
No, they got Michelle Williams to do it.
I didn't know she did such things.
I didn't either. Sometimes, now I have had a few books that I have listened to, and usually it's not somebody really well known.
But it's not the author?
Sometimes it's the author, but sometimes it's an actor, and they'll say on the back, and this is back when I used to do it on cassette or CD, and it would say on the back, remember you'd rent them at Cracker Barrel? And it would say on the back of them, oh, Cracker Barrel had a great deal.
Oh, that's
on it.
right. It was like Blockbuster.
Yeah, but here's
for
the
audios.
great thing was you'd rent the audiobook, it'd be like 6 cassettes or CDs, and then you got to your destination, you could turn them in any other
600 miles later.
wherever you want to be. You could any Cracker Barrel. Great program. Great program.
Pick one up in Columbia and drop it off in Atlanta.
If you want to, exactly. And it would say on the back, so-and-so has appeared in this show, that show, Law and Order, and they'd read it. You know, they'd read the book.
Weren't you just reading mostly Jeff Foxworthy redneck joke books?
Yeah.
That's private.
And a Shakespearean
I'm not
actor
gonna,
voice.
that's private. I'm not
You
going
might be a redneck.
I'm not going to...
You're working on his craft.
I'm not going to tell you what it was, what I was reading. But nonetheless, yes, I would listen
If the
to
pumpkin on your porch has more teeth than you, you might be a redneck.
God, that's good stuff. That is good stuff.
Quality.
Remember the days.
Absolutely. So, Biggie, you have a...
Oh, I was going to say, Brittany Spears does read some of her own books.
Oh, she does?
She does a little bit. She had Michelle Williams because she said certain parts were too tough to relive.
Oh, too difficult.
So that's where Michelle Williams comes in. She reads certain sections.
Good tag in, Big.
Michelle Williams is being lauded today as doing a phenomenal job in the sections of the book that she read. And one of them in particular, we'll play it for you here now. Apparently, Brittney Spears says in the book there's one huge difference between NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys in the 2000s. Now, NSYNC was Justin Timberlake's band, and she was dating Justin Timberlake, of course, at the time. And the comment is that NSYNC and Justin Timberlake love to hang out with black artists, singers and rappers who are black, and NSYNC very much more of a white audience. So this is Michelle Williams reading that section of the book. Apparently, Justin Timberlake and Brittney Spears were in New York and ran into a rapper, Genuine. They ran into Genuine, okay, who is a rapper. And here's how she read that part
His
of it.
band NSYNC was what people back then called So Pimp. They were white boys, but they loved hip-hop. To me, that's what separated them from the Backstreet Boys, who seemed very consciously to position themselves as a white group. NSYNC hung out with black artists. Sometimes I thought they tried too hard to fit in. One day, Jay and I were in New York, going to parts of town I'd never been to before. Walking our way was a guy with a huge, blinged-out medallion. He was flanked by 2 giant security guards. Jay got all excited and said so loud, "Oh yeah, faux shiz, Genuine. What's up, homie?" After Genuine walked away, Felicia did an impression of Jay. "Oh yeah, faux shiz, Genuine." Jay wasn't even embarrassed.
Brilliant. That's an actress, right?
Wow.
That's good reading.
She's got it. She did it. I
Yeah.
love that.
Do they have book
Loved it.
award reading
They
nominated?
should. I
They
think
should.
they do.
Award
Is that a
They
Grammy?
should get it.
It's part of it's a Grammy.
That's
yeah.
a
Could be a
win.
Grammy.
That
Yeah,
has
spoken
got.
word.
That's got to be a win, don't you think?
She's good.
That is
She's done it again.
incredible. I love the ending of that. Is like,
Oh, yeah. Faux shiz.
great.
That's like you, Kelly.
That's
You've sometimes
Oh,
done
yeah.
that.
I could do that. Oh yeah,
Faux shiz. Genuine. In the house.
Oh,
It's
I
like you
love
around
it.
young people.
Absolutely love it. Exactly, man. I thought that was great. Anyway,
I think she did win. She played Spielberg's mom in that movie, didn't she?
The Fablemans.
Fablemans.
she won for that.
I know she was nominated.
Correct.
I don't think
know
she
if
won for
won.
that. She won for something else, but
She has
Yeah.
won. I know she has. Was she the? Was she on stage when the audio cut out and she was saying that there was a difference between male and female?
Yes, there was. She's very big on equal pay.
Yes.
And it was, there's Michelle Williams talking about equal pay.
Yes.
And then it cut out.
Yes, it was. Golly, it's been a while back, but yeah, she was on stage, and for whatever reason, the audio cut out, so the anchor had to come in and say,
kind of fill in the gaps.
She said some really great things about equal
Women
pay,
inequality.
equal pay, exactly. Anyhow, so this is about television and celebrity as well. Chris Demm's wife and his mother-in-law both really enjoyed Dancing with the Stars. Now, a few years ago, the host of Dancing with the Stars, who I think everybody thought did a good job, Tom Bergeron.
Bergeron and Aaron Andrews were like host and co-host.
Yes, and were both let go, or just
I
him?
think they both left the same year.
Okay.
And then Tyra Banks replaced them.
Okay, and that, I remember people saying it's not as good with Tyra Banks, that Tom Bergeron was an excellent host. So, he was on a podcast. All right, full disclosure, he's on a podcast.
A name brand podcast?
Cheryl Burke, Sex, Lies, and Spray Tans.
Well, she was on the show.
Okay, so they're talking about the show. And she said, what's the deal? Why did you get fired from that show? No one could understand it. The ratings were fantastic. Everyone thought he was a really smooth, excellent host. And he said, here's what happened. He said in 2019, the presidential election was coming up, and Trump was making a lot of noise. He was the president, of course, and the election was coming up. And he sat down with the show's producers, and he said, we all agreed that we want to get away from the divisiveness that the country had in it for 2 hours a week and do Dancing with the Stars. Nothing political and no one political should be on the show. And they all agreed. The producer said, you're right. Let's make this much more lighthearted. No, not even a whiff of politics. A week after that conversation, Bergeron was told that former Donald Trump spokesman Sean Spicer had been cast as one of the dancers. Remember, he was.
Spicy.
That's right.
Yeah. And Bergeron was furious. He said, they just lied to me. We all said we're not going to do politics here, and they got one of the most divisive political figures you could imagine, somebody who worked for Donald Trump. And so he went in and said, I'm not doing this. You all lied to me. How can you? We just said no politics. And they said, yeah, but this guy can really move the needle. So we decided to do it, to increase ratings and revenue. So Bergeron said, okay, well, I'm not going to be a part of it. I'll take one season off and come back. And they said, oh, you don't like the show anymore? You're fired.
Yeah.
That's how it's done,
Hit
right?
the bricks, Bergeron.
Yeah, we've heard of that before, too.
Yeah.
We've had people who said, I want to move up in this business. Oh, you don't like it anymore? You're fired.
You don't like what you're doing?
That's it.
You don't like what we're doing?
So, yeah, and that's what he said. And he said, at the end of the day, they lied to me, and I'm not going to work for people who lie to me. And so that was that, and he left the show.
And did Aaron Andrews just follow him out? Or?
They did not say
I'm
that.
not certain
I
about
bet
her.
So. Yeah, I wonder about it. That wasn't, maybe she stood with him with that same kind of mentality, or maybe she just thought it was time for her to go as
She
well.
may not have wanted to do it without him.
Yeah, might be.
Bergeron's always been a good host. He's a perennial host. I think he could have been a lot. He could have done a lot more hosting. He's older now, I guess. But,
Yeah, very smooth guy.
Absolutely.
smooth.
Great.
You know why?
host.
Radio background.
That's right.
yep, he did radio.
Just like Ryan Seacrest. I don't know why I threw that in.
That's
Getting ready to host Wheel of Fortune.
And Dick Clark.
And Dick Clark, another one. Thank you, Dave. Dave always goes to the furthest one back. Always. And Charlie Chaplin.
He was silent.
Always
He didn't do
back.
radio.
Not a radio man. Paul Harvey. Orson Welles. Radio background.
Wells
That's
did
right.
it very
That's right.
well.
Very well.
Here's the ugly story today, and it is ugly, and it involves a TikTok doc. Apparently, about a year and a half ago, someone posted on TikTok that if you're on the hunt for bigger breasts, turn to bee pollen. Bee pollen extract, take bee pollen pills, do whatever you can. It will make your breast size increase.
Question, please.
Yes.
Before we move on with the story, Kelly.
Yes.
Is it applied externally or taken orally?
Either. You can do either, but the
You rub it on your breast tissue?
you can do that or take it. One woman said she mixed it into her smoothie, bee pollen powder into her smoothie every morning.
Not uncommon.
As soon as she started doing that, not only did she not notice bigger breasts, but her menstrual cycle was thrown completely off. Cramping, different times, complete irregularity. And an OBGYN, Dr. Allison Rogers, said, yeah, that's what you get.
Too much pollen?
Too much bee pollen. That's the she is part of the endocrinologist team at the Fertility Center of Illinois, and says too much bee pollen will jack your menstrual cycle all around.
What do you think that would do to a man?
Make his breasts bigger.
Well, I don't
think
know.
so.
That's a good question.
Would you be drawn to flowers
In
in the spring?
Perhaps that's a good
Just
question.
buzz around
I
the
don't
woman.
know.
Yeah.
He always goes straight for those gladiolas.
Just find a queen and just circle her.
Apparently, several on TikTok took it way too far and would do all sorts of, way too much bee pollen because they wanted their boobs to be bigger. And this woman, the doctor says, estrogen is involved in breast growth. So many people have assumed that bee pollen would increase their natural supply of estrogen. It's not the case. And all you're doing is messing things up. You can take it in its natural form and in the recommended allowance, and nothing will happen. You may feel better. But she says breast growth you're not going to get. And if you take too much, it can mess your body up a little bit, which it has. So many women are speaking out saying, my menstruation hasn't been right since.
Oh, I'm so much bee pollen.
And that's your men's. Here's the point. You just can't trust TikTok.
It's not,
Once again, TikTok has caused a major problem.
Dadgummit.
This time for women.
Is your wife still taping at her mouth at night?
I got another doctor emailing me today saying, tell that woman to rip the tape off her mouth. She won't do it. She loves it. She loves it, and she's never slept better. If you don't know, my wife tapes her mouth shut at night, which is a real win.
I mean, at first you started doing it, but then
Yeah. But now she tapes her mouth shut, and she sleeps great. Yeah.
Well, everything has drawbacks and everything's have pluses.
Well,
It could be the same thing.
they're saying, well, you could suffocate, but she's been doing it a couple of years now, and she likes it. She buys that special tape for it and everything.
Mouth tape.
Real nice. And, she never has to worry about any kind of like a little mustache if something were to come. But she never has had that issue anyway.
She rips it off and she's debilitating.
Right, exactly.